we've already seen that during the election campaign, Mr Albanese floundered every time an ounce of pressure was put on him. In contrast, you've got someone like Mr Dutton, who has had some of the most high intensity, high risk and high strategic importance portfolios, and he's approached every single one with a cool head and with good judgment. That's exactly what you need for difficult times.
Well, let's talk about that judgment and the principles behind them. He could come out immediately and say, for example, the voice to Parliament is bad for the country. The longer this debate goes on, Amanda, I'd argue, the worse it is for the country. I mean, this could stoke serious damages to our social cohesion. Why won't he just come out and say, that's a bad idea?
Look, I can't speak to what's in his mind, but my expectation would be that he's working to bring all of his colleagues onto the same page. And in order to do that, I think he is also applying the blowtorch to Mr Albanese to get a bit more detail about what they're doing. At the moment, we're dealing with something enormously vague, and even the release of proposed words for a constitutional change only confirms the fact that it would be a blank cheque to an activist court to start engaging in political decisions left, right and centre. I think he's doing that important heavy lifting internally to make sure that a united front can be presented to the community once that additional detail is provided. He's largely succeeded in doing that when it comes to the energy space, with the coalition making a largely united decision to oppose the 43% number that has been put forward for legislation by Labor. I think he'll adopt a similar strategy when it comes to the voice.
Well, I mean, yeah, you mentioned the 43%. Why also, can I ask the same question regarding net zero and emissions reductions? Why isn't he going after those crazy ideas already with a bit of zeal and gusto?
Well, I think that he is a pragmatic person. And one thing that I can quite admire about Mr Dutton is the fact that he's very strategic in choosing the battles that can be won. At the moment, most of that energy debate is being argued in the context of a parliament that's made up of a majority of Labor and Teals, and in circumstances where there are a number of Liberal members of Parliament that have paid a very dear price for that climate enthusiast group. What he is, I expect, instead doing is setting the team up so that when things go south, he's able to hold Labor accountable for those failures. He's not necessarily burning the capital now, but he is getting the pieces in place to make sure that he can keep the blowtorch on them in the context of a campaign. And he's done that very successfully in the past.